greetings from Indica Film Festival. This is the sixth edition of our film festival. It's an Indic film festival of positive independent films, and we are very happy to have with us. This is our second panel discussion. We are very happy to have with us Shivi Ghakher, probably the youngest filmmaker in this edition. Thank you so much, Shivi, for your film and for joining us today. And we also have her mentor and professor, Gauri Chakravarti ji. Thank you so much, Gauri ji, for taking time off to join us for this discussion. And we have Sundar Konar. Thank you, Sundar. And thank you again for your lovely film. The theme of this panel discussion is the women who move the story. We are waiting for one more filmmaker to join us, but we'll go ahead. And the theme is about why filmmakers across genres are focusing on the resilience and complexities of women's lives. The why is redundant because it's obvious that we need to focus on women specifically and maybe also on issues concerning women. And you have done it beautifully through your films. So, if we look at Sundar's film, Betelgeuse, the name comes from the brightest star in the Orion constellation, which literally translates to meaning the shoulder of the hunter, and it derives its light from the other stars. And this is the story also of his protagonist, who has an accident and then recovers with the help of her family support and also an incident that she encounters while traveling. Thank you so much for that beautiful film, Sundar. Could
Yeah.
you tell us how you conceptualized the film and why you chose the name? There's also another international film by the same name, I think, a horror film.
Yes, yes,
Why
yes.
particularly this?
So why I thought of this film is because uh, after COVID, each and every one of us has gone through the worst mentally, and we have some of them are spoken, some of them are unspoken, and they are trying to reach out. Someone gets shy to reach to the mental health specialist also. They think that what people will think. So this film, it's a real life story. I have adapted and made it into a film, and I wanted to make, because I work in a Bollywood films. I work as assistant director. I work in all the action kind of films, like 100 CR films where there is a lots of action films, Tod, Ford, Blast, and everything.
Uh-huh.
And for making action film, it's very easy for me. But I feel that what if inner what inner Sundar will speak about emotion, will speak about the what person is going through. Then I thought of, let's make this kind of movie, which, and this story I was waiting for 3 years what to make, because of short film I got into Bollywood. Then I should make a good short film, so I waited for then this real life story, which was, and that inspired me, and I made it into this. And many of the scenes in the film, you see that once they travel to Spiti Valley in the mountain region, and many of the scenes happen naturally for the script. For example, that little kid who is deaf and dumb, I got real deaf and dumb kid while traveling there, and that kid played an amazing role. That little boy showcased everything.
For sure. I mean, our problems seem insurmountable, especially when it comes to mental health issues, because you're
Hmm.
so focused on your own pain that you're not able to see outside yourself. You have portrayed it, so beautifully that not just her, but also her brother, who is seemingly successful and, doing his studies abroad. He's also affected by her pain.
Yes.
And it's just, and the tough life of the army personnel, what seems, for them not to be able to communicate with. We experienced it only during COVID, but they do it like that's a norm, routine
Yes.
for them not to be in touch with people or with civilization or with loved ones. And that uncertainty is there for them all the time.
Yes. So when you are going through a mental health issue, you feel that ki everything is going very slow, slow, slow. Even a 1 hour, you will feel like a 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. Then whatever you feel that ki, as a person, you will, in that character of Chitra, I thought that ki, let's be as a Chitra for 3 4 days. कि कैसा होगा. Then in that character, you feel that ki each and everything is slow, and you will feel that ki I have the biggest problem in the world. I have even the leg also twist. Oh, fuck, my leg gone. Matlab, I have the biggest problem. My head is spinning. I have the biggest problem. So this all the characters came in my film. They are like a passing cloud, which they have lots of thing in their life, but they are just smiling and giving hope and just keep going.
Thank you
And
so
they are not choosing the word the end,
yeah.
which the girl is choosing from the start.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. Shivi, could you tell us about how your interest in film started? And as a student, what were the challenges that you faced while filming your particular film, The Ladybird? And what is the theme, how does it focus on, it does focus on women's issues repeatedly. I mean, not just one aspect, but in terms of potential, we do not think that girls are capable of doing something. Then we think that they should be married, or then the mother says her all the girls have to help in with family chores, instead of going to school. So how did you bring in so many aspects of the challenges of these girls?
So the basic premise of the film is based on Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. But all the issues came in when we actually sat together and talked about what are the issues that are not looked on when we talk about children, especially rural, and when it comes to girls. So when we were discussing, the main issue came up to periods not being discussed, or the children not going to school because they have to do their home chores, like you said. So when we discussed all these issues, that is when we mentioned in every point. No, that is why we mentioned every point that why it is important for girls to educate themselves so they know what is their right and what they want in their life. So that is how we figured out their problems. And then when we also screened this movie, there was an NGO, the girls from the NGO called Laksham came and they said, Didi, आपने हमारी story दिखाई है. So they related to it, and that was our clue that yes, we have done something great so that they could relate with it. So this was like the main idea of we making a film based on girl child.
Yeah. So how was what is the role of Gauri ma'am in this film, ma'am?
Each role is Gauri ma'am's role, but her main role was to get us on the same page, each of us. She overlooked every aspect. She closed the story for us. She gave us points. She helped us in basically everything. So she was the creative director of a film.
Yeah. So when we look at women's issues, it can also be a male issue. Like especially in Sundar's film, it's not necessary that the challenges that are specific to the girls portrayed through the films, they can be faced by anybody. So, do you think what is the role of films when we say that this is a mental health issue of a girl, or this is the challenge of a girl? How can we make an impact in real society? What roles do films play in giving better opportunities to women?
I feel like India is a place which is heavily led and which also follows cinema for majority of its decision. So our main agenda was it was basically for girls so that they could relate and talk about their problems. So when we made that film, when we were shooting in that school, we saw how their washrooms were. We saw how their benches were. We saw how they used to travel. So there might not be the topic that children usually talk about, but they are the topics that need to be looked at. So that was a basic agenda to follow.
And Shivi, like, what is the role of language? You know, you have chosen the film has been is a vernacular film in Marathi. So how important is, you know, it brings home, you know, although it is very particular to a region, it's being, you know, screened in Dallas where a lot of non-Indians are going to see the film. But it's still a very universal concern. I think, you know, more like we were talking in our last panel discussion, more local we go, the more universal the themes become and more attractive also. We want to know very specific issues. So, what the role does language play in this to communicate the authenticity of the story?
So our film is based in Hindi, a typical UP Hindi. So when we made the film, we obviously know that it's based in rural India, so Hindi is going to be our language. But I feel like language does not play a major role because no dialogue film also used to work. And with that being said, expressions and storyline play the major role. And this is what I feel. So for us, the story was the main hero of the film and not the language. Plus, now we have a lot of, you could say, like, we have auto captions, we do captions for films. So we can do that for a larger audience. But the story has its the movie has its own story. So that was the basic thing for us.
Right. So then, what was your choice of language and how does language play a role? Because you're talking about an urban setting where you know the protagonist is from a city and you know she is pretty affluent and has had opportunities, but due to you know a personal chap is unable to make the most of her opportunities. So, what role does language and the setting and the landscape play in your film?
Basically, ma'am, I am Tamil and I'm staying in Mumbai. And I'm in Mumbai, I'm very fluent in Marathi. So I want to make films in these two languages. So which is will be very hard, too hard for me to make. And for film to reach the wider audience, that I feel that let's make it in Hindi. And because my film screen time, if you see, just 3 minutes, it is in Mumbai, that is in hospital and house. Rest everything is landscape wise, we are going to the north of India, that is Himachal and Spiti Valley. So naturally, if we take out it, then it will go in a multi language. Then house will be in Tamil, where there's a hospital, there will be Hindi or Marathi, then it will go there, it will be again in Hindi. Then I thought, let's make it in a Hindi language, so that it can reach in a better reach out area.
Yeah, I mean, it was really beautiful. And you didn't need language also, especially with that boy. The way he
Yes.
demonstrated how he learned music was really beautiful. That was a fantastic
And
scene.
it was a very difficult task for me to make this film. This entire film is dialogue, 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 and to place the music, to place the flow of the film. Like, first edit was my of 42 minutes. Then I took censor in 36 minutes. Then some festivals says that it's too long, it's too laggy. And
Mm.
I was like, if you go through that situation, you will feel entire life laggy and too long. And then I have to chop it down to 24 minutes crisper, and with the music and all. And many of the music director was not ready to put the song in it.
Mm.
And I want to give hope to that girl, not via her brother or parent or anyone. From the third person perspective, from the universe, she is getting hope. And the song lyrics itself gives her hope. So
It was
for
wonderful. Even the last scene of the paragliding,
yes.
was that also a incidental
N-
scene?
no, no, that's we planned it properly. So we went there, just 6 people. So that paraglider is my editor, and that
Oh,
army officer is my co-writer.
okay.
So each and everyone we combined
Yeah.
and worked together.
That's a beautiful aspect of independent films. I think
Yes.
because of monetary constraints, everybody becomes has a role, a significant role in the films.
They were too much inspired and energetic that I want to play this role. I want to play this.
Yeah, but very well done
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, everyone.
Very well
They
done.
all rehearsed.
Yeah,
They all rehearse. They record themselves, and after that, they show in front of me. If you are happy, then only I'll do on screen,
yeah,
or else we won't.
very well done actually. So, Shivi, over to you. What is the role like? Although these are women centric films, we have the others also. Like the men play a very important foil to the woman's character. Like, for instance, in the maths teacher. So he comes out as, we don't just because, there is a certain case to be made for the situation of women. We don't have to put the entire blame on the men, lay the blame at the men's door. Like you have the inspiring teacher who actually teaches her to cycle,
Right.
and who also, inspire is very encouraging in the classroom. So how do we give this balance of, when we deal with women's issues, how do we be careful, not to make sure that, to make the other gender responsible for our situation?
So we didn't wanted to make the male gender thing that only women are important, or like we are only talking about women. We also thought about if we could add a female teacher, but that wouldn't have been possible. A, because in rural areas, mostly maths teachers especially are male. B, if we put in a male teacher, we would not have to think about that it's a female-led, basically a story based on female. It would be like, okay, we have a male who could support her, who thinks that being a woman has many minor problems which are not talked about. So that was our idea behind having a male female teacher.
Yeah, and even the idea of this a bicycle, the bicycle as a prop for the film. I remember in my childhood when we used to go to our village, all the bicycles that were rent were the the ones with a rod. So none of the girls would be able to ride that cycle. So why did you choose the cycle as the prop to create the transformation?
So in rural areas, secondary schools are basically few kilometers away. So cycle becomes the only form of transportation, you could say, for children, be it boys, be it girls. But many parents do not buy their daughters cycle by the thought that why would she study? Why she has to study? She has to be married off. So cycle ladybird came in because there used to be a BSA cycle back in 2000, early 2000s, I guess, and Indian government used to give that cycles to scholar girls who used to study and score nice marks. So that is how Ladybird came in, and that is how we named the movie Ladybird.
Oh, lovely. So, can I ask both of you which are the, or even maybe Gauri ma'am, which are the women led films that have inspired you in the past, and, which you think are like the best representation of this genre? If Gauri ma'am can start, since she's probably watched more films than all of us.
Thank you, Aparna. To me, I think Lapata Ladies currently will be one film which addresses all the issues connected to women in terms of theory very correctly. Usually, what happens is when we start depicting within the craft, using the craft, picking one narrative, there are certain aspects which always we are unable to bring into the conversation. But my hats off to the team of Lapata Ladies, because I think as a text which is highlighting issues connected to gender equity, Lapata Ladies does a very good job. We were also, when Shivi and the other students, we started discussing this film, we were also very happy that during the journey of our conversation, Lapata Ladies had been released. You know, when we began Lady Bird, the film wasn't in the radar. I mean, it wasn't released. So it was so interesting to see that the same discourse was being discussed in the classroom as well.
What about you, Sundar?
Basically, I'm a very big fan of Mani Ratnam. So each film of him has a women layer. So I'm a single parent kid. My mother has brought me up. So I know what women go through entire life, how they suffer and how they feel. And as a living as a single parent also in this city like Mumbai. So there is a lots of obstacle. People think in a different way. People approach in a different way. So growing with in front of that woman, and it's a very inspiring, and I, that make you to respect more for the women's, and feel more for them. And it's not that this film is made only for women. This I would like to say this character, real life Chitra character, uh, the girl Chitra who has committed suicide in real life. In real life she has committed suicide, and after she passed away her brother is crying on my shoulders that at least yeah, I would have spoken to her something. She would have stopped it. I would have fought with her. I would have cracked the joke with her, and she didn't spoke anything. She's a topper in school, topper in college, topper in everywhere in, and she just went through a small accident, and her life shattered. Because of her physical condition she couldn't go ahead, and she has to end her life because she was speechless with her own parents, friends, brother. No one spoke with her, and she's going just be in her own world and going through anything. So that's what it triggered me that I want to make this film. It's a very sad story, but I want to make it in a positive hope so that no one should take the end decision in life. So it can be male or it can be female. Even though uh, and 2 weeks back I feel see that some of my relatives a guy committed suicide because of a girl. So it's a common thing between it in all the genders. So that's what this made me to inspire this film, and that's it.
Thank you so much, Sundar. I
Thank
mean, for sharing this. And it's, I think our society needs to be more sensitive to what each of us is going through. And all of us are so busy rushing, trying to get our jobs, our degrees, our next whatever, that sometimes, and these, now when one is undergoing something like this, we also, I don't know whether it's a good or bad thing, but we find a very good way of disguising things. We learn to hide it. And it's we hide it so well that nobody can actually make out what the other person is going through.
yes.
So in a way, it is, helps us to put up a face in front of all our difficulties, but it's also, unless, you are extremely self-aware, you can deceive a lot of people into thinking that everything is fine with your life. And like the brother, who might feel bad later. So
Yes.
I don't know how do we actually get closer to each other, and, we learn to share whatever is going through. Thank you so much, Sundar, for this.
Thank you.
And Shivi, which is your film?
I have I have a biased favorite director when it comes to female narrative because I remember when we were talking about women in film back in fourth semester, it was one of our subjects. So there was this movie called Lipstick Under My Burqa, which was talked about a lot. So Alankrita Srivastava, I guess, if I'm not wrong, she's the director of the film. And I guess she has a very feminist narrative, but in modern Indian setup. So that has to be like one of the favorite directors that I have.
Wonderful. Mine, I think, would be, G. Vishwanath Garu, who is from the Telugu film world of the yesteryears, and Indica films. We did a series on him where we invited filmmakers to make films based on similar themes to which on which he made films. So we got, I think, more than 1,500 entries where people had made films based on similar films. It's like, saying, okay, you all of us are fans of Mani Ratnam. Now all of you go and make like a Mani Ratnam like film. It's like that kind of a contest it was. And his films were, there are two things that three things maybe he focused. One was on art and culture. He led a huge revival of the classical art. So he would take classical ragas and make film music out of it with the old tune. So you remembered the tune, you remembered the raga, but you had new lyrics which were, attractive to new audiences. Then two things was her social causes. He, things like either untouchability or, caste or something he would address. And third was women's emancipation in a very subtle way. He showed how, women could have a voice through their art mostly. So he both, brought art to the fore and he brought women's voices. And I think art is one of the greatest mediums, whether it's films or it's the classical arts, where, women can express their issues and their lives very beautifully in a way in which society can engage with. So I think that's the sum and substance of this conversation. But
Please send us films we would like to watch, and we will also make more films.
oh,
It's interesting.
definitely. A lot of the filmmakers were saying how they were all like middle ages. So they were also always saying how, his very first film, which became such a huge hit, Shankara Bharanam, we asked, what was the reason for the success of the film? So one filmmaker said, he became a very good filmmaker because of audiences. He said it is the audience who made him such a great filmmaker, and after that there was no stopping him. So it's quite possible that a theme like yours, the audience gets so attracted by the theme that you achieve greatness, and then then there's no stopping you. So we sometimes, we take audiences for granted. So actually, but a lot of filmmakers, they used to go to theaters every Friday, and they used to sit, incognito in the audience and see what is the audience like reacting to this film. So
Yes.
that was so important in the olden days to know, what is it that clicks. So then they would predict, whether this film will be a success or not, and what is the formula, which are the incidents where the audience is actually coming alive. What makes them laugh, what makes them cry, what songs, people start whistling. So that when you actually see it live, I think that's a very good way of assessing, rather than a review by a paid, journalist
Yes.
or something. I think audiences are the key in us, deciding what we focus on and what we should, how we make the films. So that is what we learned from that particular season. Mhm. Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
time, and lovely speaking to all of you. And it's so inspiring that youngsters like you are treating these themes not too seriously, but very serious themes, in fact, but treating them in such an engaging way. Thank you, and congratulations for being part of
Thank you,
this.
ma'am.
Thank
Thank you,
you
Gauri,
both.
ma'am. Thank you, Shivi.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Aparna. Thank
Thank
you, Sundar.
you.
Great meeting you.
Same here. Take care. Thank you. Bye, Christian.